people next in line, lower classes, social slime, they don't matter, genocide, sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care, Caesar shit, force of air, fuck them back, it's only for they bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids, no one makes countries laugh to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line, lower classes, social side, they don't matter, genocide, sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care, see the shit, force a bear, fuck them back, that's only fair, they bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids, no one makes countries lie to your face, fight and die, 'cause God forgives. Yeah, coming back around again.
Good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is my favorite show I do, which is Game On, and it is October the 1st, 2015. And I saw just before I come on air that there's been another mass shooting at this college or something down in the States, so heart goes out to all those who've been affected by that. I also saw a real quick that thing down near the bottom. That was Washington Times, Washington Post, Washington something, that said since Obama's been president or something, there's been some sort of a mass shooting every week. So expect more guns, Speaking of guns, I want to get on with what I want to talk about, which is Constitution stuff here in a minute, but speaking of guns, I don't have one. Damn good shot, but I don't have a gun. But I was thinking of getting a pellet gun. I haven't had a pellet gun since I was a kid. And damn good shot with that, too. And so I was thinking, maybe I'll get me a pellet gun. What the hell? And so I see them advertised in the flyers that come by and that. And so I thought, what the hell? So, I'm looking for a 22 caliber pellet gun. And I can buy one, just like I bought one when I was 12. We painted a house when I was 12 to raise the money so that me and my buddies could go and get pellet guns, which we did. So we worked for our money and went down to the local store and each bought ourselves a 22 caliber pellet gun. No problemo. And then we went and bought ourselves a bunch of pellets, and we bought some of those pellet gun darts, and away we went. No problem. Walked down the street with our new pellet guns over our shoulder, proud as a bunch of peacocks we were. And so I thought, what the hell? I'll go get me a pellet gun, which I can purchase. Problem is, apparently now, and this looks like it just happened, because I don't recall seeing these notices like 3 months ago when I was looking at pellet guns. They now have a notice. I can buy the pellet gun or a BB gun. I have to be 18 years old, which I'm well past that. I only had to be nothing when I was 12. Didn't matter. And again, we had a gun range in my high school when I was 13. So that wasn't a problem. And it wasn't a pellet gun range, it was a rifle range. Encouraged to be good shots, encouraged to understand firearms. And this was in Canada, no less, eh? And so I thought, okay. So I read this notice. I see one at the top. I got to be 18. No problem. Then I see another notice. I can buy the pellet gun or the Red Ryder BB gun, if you will, but I have to have a firearms license to buy the pellets. I almost fell out of my chair. I can buy the pellet gun, but I can't buy the pellets. Must be something to do with the lead or something, content, I don't know. Because lead's supposed to be bad for you, I guess. I don't know what the hell it's. This is how ludicrous this is getting. Absolutely ludicrous. So, anyways, yesterday I've been talking to my government officials again, which I always enjoy doing because, wow, they're such an intelligent bunch. And so I'd been talking to some of the different government agencies about the preamble, or I was attempting to talk to them about the preamble of the Canadian Constitution. And I wasn't having much luck with it. So I thought, what the hell, I'll phone the Justice Department. That's where I was directed to, that they look after the Constitution, all that stuff's under those guys. Okay, that's fine. So I phoned the Federal Justice Department, and I go to their website, and there's the phone number, so I call it. And I'm talking to this guy on the phone, and I said, just direct me to whatever section of your defense or your Justice Department looks after constitutional matters. Well, we're not allowed to do that. Why is that? Well, we're not allowed to discuss the Constitution. Really? This is the Justice Department? This is the people who look after law and the Constitution? Yeah. But you're not allowed to discuss it? No, not with the public. Oh, I see. Have you ever read the preamble of the Constitution, bud? No, I haven't. You know anything about the Constitution? Or the Charter? No. So I'm not going anywhere with this guy, so try again. Get somebody else. Same garbage. Nobody's allowed to discuss the Constitution. So I make another call. I get a supervisor this time. I go back and get a supervisor. And this lady's getting right agitated, eh? She's starting to yell at me. And, she said, we're not allowed to discuss this with the public. And I said, well, that's odd. But then it makes sense because Section 32 of the Canadian Charter says that it only applies to government. So that would make sense, seeing as Canada's a corporation and the Constitution is the Constitution of the corporation. So in that sense, I could see where you don't want to discuss it with me. But if that be the case, and we can accept what 32 says, that it doesn't bind me, only government, then all the rules and regulations and statutes and crap you guys write on behalf of this Constitution have no bearing on anybody but the government. Well, they didn't like to hear that either. Trying to have it both ways. So then she got really, really upset. Started yelling. And turns out I wasn't talking to the Justice Department. I was talking to the 3 calls I'd made to all these 3 people who were picking up the phone at the Federal Justice Department work for a company called Quantum Management Services. And I thought, well, ain't that odd? Then she goes on to tell me they have a contract to answer the phones there. Gatekeepers, if you will. Gatekeepers paid by somebody's tax money. And so I went searching that out, this Quantum Management Service, and I found an investigative story by a paper who was run into the same crap. And apparently we spend over, $2.5 billion a year contracting companies for government agencies that are basically hired as gatekeepers. Brilliant. So anyways, I got back in the back end. I got back into the Justice Department. I got into their real phone lines and found the people who look after the Constitution. And I see it's all councils, same as when I phoned the Ministry of Justice in Ontario. There's a huge list of council, which are all lawyers. So I thought, well, what kind of council? I'll call senior counsel, right? So I called senior counsel. And my wife's not feeling good right now. She's got a kind of a nasty cold. And she was listening to these conversations I was having. And she couldn't believe it. I'm talking to a senior counsel, a lawyer in the Justice Department. And I says, she doesn't even want to recognize the preamble. Just like down stateside, they didn't want to recognize the Second Amendment, First Amendment, whatever. They don't want to recognize any of this stuff. And so we talked about some of the same stuff and explained you can have both ways. Either I am government or I'm public. And if I'm public, the Constitution doesn't bind to me. Period. And so what I was really trying to get to was the preamble. And the preamble of the Canadian Constitution is pretty simple. And it is based on the principles of the supremacy of God and the rule of law. And that's the preamble. Now, they've been blowing this off forever, right? Well, anybody that understands anything about a preamble knows that's everything that comes after that is basically has to be in that context. But they don't want to acknowledge it. Because it's the same as the American Constitution, really. If you acknowledge the supremacy of God, then you have to make sure that all the rules and regulations that you put forward fall within that set of rules. Okay? And it's really the Constitution. It really is the Constitution of man. I don't care if you're religious or not. It's not even about religion. Okay? Not about religion. Religion's another one of these smoke and mirror games, bait and switch games that gets people all confused. Forget religion altogether. It's just about the supremacy of a creator. And we were given dominion. And I find it really comical now, or I find it very ironic now that we have people putting their hands on the Bible, swearing to uphold the Constitution that they made up, which is based on the legal system, which is amoral, which is nothing but the legal system is nothing more than a system to enslave their fellow man. And that's not what the supremacy of God is about. It's about giving man dominion, not taking it away from him. So it seems rather silly that we're watching people, oh, he's standing there, she is about to put her hand on the Bible and swear an oath to the Constitution. Well, God's law is based on moral concepts, and legal is based on amoral, the rule of law, amoral. That's the legal system. So what you have is in that one sentence in the Canadian preamble, you have two entities that are exact polar opposites of one another. The only upside is the supremacy of God comes before the term rule of law, which makes it stand above rule of law. So anyways, I was talking to this senior counsel at the Justice Department on the federal side, and I said, look, I just want to read this to you. And it was like, when people are trying to tell people about chemtrails or some other so-called conspiracy theory, I could almost see her hands reaching for her ears. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. It was bloody ludicrous. And she was doing a song and dance, man. And I said, I'm going to read it to you anyways. I don't want to hear it. This is a senior counsel in the federal Justice Department doesn't want to hear the preamble to the Canadian Constitution. And I'm talking to the Division of Justice Canada, which looks after the Constitution. It's ludicrous. And so I started, it's only 17 words, I told her. I said, hang with me. And I don't want to hear it. And as I started reading it, before I got the supremacy of God, she hung up the phone on me, right? Just freaking ludicrous, man. Absolutely ludicrous. Anyways, so I got rooting around today, and I did come across a very interesting piece of work here. And it says it's from the Social Science Research Network, whatever the heck that is. I have no idea. But it says, the embarrassing preamble, ? Understanding the supremacy of God in the Charter. And we have this, I guess these writers are Jonathan Penny, and here we have underneath of that Harvard University, Berkman Center for Internet and Society, Citizen Lab, University of Toronto, University of Oxford, Oxford Internet Institute, Dalhousie University, and below that we have a guy by the name of Robert Jacob Dene, Department of Justice, Government of Canada. And the date on this is December 1st, 2012. And I'm going to put this link in because it's not just for Canadians. There are references to the American Constitution in here as well, I believe. It's about, what is it? It's only 46 pages. But it is about the importance of the preambles and the fact that we have to have these things recognized. And I mean, it's true. I mean, if the governments can't recognize and accept the wording of the preamble, then nothing in the Constitution or this particular charter has any weight to it. If you can't accept the basis of what it's based on, then everything written after that you got to toss out as well. You can't just pick and choose with this stuff. You just can't do it. But they do it all the time, right? So give a wander through this thing. I think you'll find it rather interesting. It does have some really good information in it. I might as well put the first link in there as well, where it came from. I haven't looked at this site at all, so I don't know what all's in it. But we got to get back to square one here, folks. We've been so hoodwinked for so long that it's ridiculous. Look around. I mean, just look around at your society the way it is now. It's a freaking disaster. And it's that way on purpose. Okay? It's that way on purpose. And we have to reassert ourselves. We have to reassert our nations. When I was looking at some stuff overseas with Islam and that, and these migrants that are flooding in everywhere, and have been for many, many years in the Nordic countries, and I mean Sweden, I guess, is pretty much a basket case now, as is London. Last thing I read is that there's the white people are a minority in London. And we got to stop that. And what the Muslims, what this whole Muslim thing is about, it's about asserting their nation. Now, when you look at these people, they say, we don't have to abide by your laws. Okay? We are the nation of Islam. Okay? And that's very important to understand. They're asserting their nation. Okay? And we're not. And this is a war. And if we lay down, you're going to get overrun. And like I said, I was particularly impressed with what Greece is doing, and they're just basically running everybody the hell out of there that ain't Greek. Simple as that. Now, you could say that we here in the West are multicultural. Well, we were not We were basically white European stock. And don't get on me with this racist nonsense, okay? But we have to get back to the idea of nationhood, okay? And that when you are part of a nation, then you act that way. And if you're not prepared to be part of the nation, then hit the freaking road and don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. Plain and simple. Because what we've done over the years is we got really lazy. Lots of entertainment and lots of TV, and we were like children, and they took advantage of it. I mean, they put everything in place so that we would just basically get stupid, and we did. And so they did their job well, and I guess we did our job well. But we really need to reestablish what our nations are. And our nations cannot continue to be based on international law. Okay? It's the laws of our nation, just like Islam's pushing. Now, when they go into these other countries, they run everybody else to hell out of them neighborhoods. If the police come in, they run them out. You know, they want nothing to do with them. Because they go by their law. And everywhere their nation lands, they claim it as their nation. Or their neighborhood, whatever. But it's still all based on the Nation of Islam. And the Nation of Islam is built on Sharia law. And everywhere they've been, they come in there and they establish their Sharia law. Because they refuse to accept the law of the land that they're presently on. With the Muslims comes their law. With the Muslims comes their nation. Now, you could call this, I suppose, and I'd have to look into it a lot deeper, but you could look at this as kind of a Jewish-inspired thing. An awful lot of, when I look in Canada here, those pushing multiculturalism and always seems to be the head people, always seem to be Jewish for some reason or another. And I don't know what that exact connection is, but we'll figure it out and find it out. But we have got to reestablish, and whenever any of our judicial systems decide that they have the authority to shred our constitutions or not abide by the preambles of the constitutions, well, we need to stand ground. It's that simple. Because if you don't, well, they'll just have their way with you. And so far, it ain't been working out good for people. And it's just going to get worse if we don't do something about it. So we got to do something about it. And again, you know, I can't even take anybody's eye out with the pellet gun if I buy it because I don't have a firearms license. So I could go bang bang with my pellet gun, I guess, but I won't take your eye out because I got to go get a license to go buy some pellets. That's the most ludicrous thing I ever heard in my life. But that's the way things are going up here. Anyways, I got, I don't know, it's just getting weirder by the day. Now, we got this big push on here, I think I mentioned this Tuesday, we got this big push on here to get rid of mom and dad, right? And now this is even on the birth certificates now. Now, this is how twisted this logic's getting. An MPP aims to end discrimination against same-sex parents registering births in Ontario. Now, modern families need modern family laws. That's why NDP MPP Sherry De Novo will be tabling private member legislation next week that would end discrimination against same-sex parents in Ontario's birth registration services. The LB, or the LGBTQ, I can't even figure out what that all stands. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, Queer? Am I close on that? That's a mouthful, man. Whoop, I shouldn't say that. Parents deserve the same parental rights offered to straight parents, she said in Queen's Park on Thursday. With same-sex marriage has been the law of the land for more than a dozen years. The Children's Law Reform Act in Ontario has lagged behind the times. Incrementally, man, incrementally. Just keep coming at us, incrementally. That has led to the bizarre situation of mothers or fathers having to adopt their own children because of the existing birth certification registration legislation presumes that only one man and one woman can be parents. Well, if you're registering a birth, you kind of figure it was, the kid was kind of created by a man and a woman. I mean, that just kind of stands to reason. Oh, used to, not anymore. Let's get rid of the red tape and give queer and trans parents the recognition they need to care for their children. Well, they can't have children that I'm aware of. But modeled on British Columbia's landmark Family Law Act, which took effect in 2013, de Novo's bill would make all references to parents gender neutral and allow for more than two parents listed on a birth certificate. Now, I don't know how you get more than two parents to create one kid. I'm not up on some of this stuff. I don't know if this is getting weirder by the minute here. So you can have more than two parents listed on a birth certificate. 10, 9, 11, I don't know. With more families turning to sperm donors or surrogates, it would also clarify legally who is and is not a parent. Lawyer Joanna Redbord, who is preparing a constitutional challenge against Ontario's antiquated birth law, says that the law is now failing children. It's always about the children. You know, the kid ain't even born yet, but we're failing the children because we haven't figured out yet or put it into law that you can have as many parents as you want, or somebody decides, and they don't even have to have the capacity to have a child. And somehow this is failing the children. The Ontario government has done nothing to fix this. It's discriminatory statutes, said Redbird, a lawyer on the case that legalized same-sex marriage in the province in 2003. I heard the news early. I told my spouse, this is the lawyer. I heard the news early. I told my spouse. She rushed down and we got married that very day. I was 7 months pregnant and we were thrilled. We were being legally recognized as a family. Now, I don't know how two women get each other pregnant. They go down to the local sperm bank, I guess. So when the kid goes to school, who's your mommy and daddy? I don't have a mommy and daddy. Mommy went to the sperm bank and hooked up with her girlfriend, and so these are my parents. Well, they're not your parents. It's bizarre. But it wasn't so easy because even though I birthed our child, we had to adopt our own child. We went to court after that so that lesbian co-mothers could have immediate recognition of their child's birth registration. Yada, yada, yada. So I went and looked up who this MPP is. And so when I plug in, I mean, it's just too weird. So when I plug in this Sherry de Novo and find out who she is, we find out that she was born in 1951 as a politician in Ontario, Canada. She's a New Democrat, member of the Legislative Assembly of Ontario, and was elected in a by-election in 2006. And her background is she grew up in a rooming house owned by her parents. After her father's death from emphysema and witnessing her stepfather's suicide, she dropped out of school at grade 10 to live on the streets for 4 years. During her time on the streets, she helped smuggle LSD into Canada from California inside hollowed-out Bibles. Her time spent at the Fred Victor Mission convinced her to earn her high school equivalency test and enroll at Centennial College, though she soon changed from Centennial to York University. If anybody knows anything about York University, man, that is a place where they would pick off somebody like this. Anyway, it's like a incubation. York, all the universities are now, and their scouts look who they can use. It was during her time at York that she became involved with the student protest movement of the '60s and became joined. What the hell kind of a sentence is that? And anyways, joined the Young Socialists of Canada. An openly bisexual woman, DeNovo was one of the few women to sign Canada's first gay liberation manifesto called We Demand in 1971. She left university shy of her degree and began working for a corporate headhunting firm. Then in the early 80s, ran her own firm, the Abbott Group, a recruitment firm that specialized in placing women in high-profile jobs. For 5 years, in 1988, after some church shopping with her then-husband, she joined a United Church of Canada congregation in Richmond Hill. Soon after, she finished up her York University degree and enrolled at Emmanuel College at the University of Toronto. In 1992, her husband was killed in a motorcycle accident. She earned her Master's of Divinity in 1995 and served a rural charge in Brucefield, Ontario, which is extremely close to where I live. And 2 years before beginning her ministry, she married college professor Gil Gaspar. DeNovo began hosting a weekly radio show, The Radical Reverend, on Toronto's something FM. And she performed the first legal same-sex marriage registered in Canada in 2001. Her book, Queering Evangelism, Growing a Community from the Outside, and it won the Lambra Literary Award in the spirituality category in 2006. This is how screwed up this is. I mean, this is like basically what the political system is like up here. And I'm sure if you get into the background, I find this fascinating. You know, people read these stories, but they never go check out who these people are. This is much more fascinating than the story that was in the paper. None of this is entered into the paper. It's just that we need to... change our birth registration, which I don't recommend you register if you're birthing, but that's beside the point. So, it's how badly things have been screwed up and turned on its head. We have a bisexual woman here who ends up who ends up being a preacher or something, and writes a book, Queering Evangelism, Growing a Community from the Outside. And this is what's happened to the churches. And all of this stuff, it's not normal. It's all coming out of the people that started the United Nations. And that is to do what? Destroy the nation state. Now, was your nation built on any of this nonsense I just read to you? No. Well, how is this happening? Because we all became, our so-called countries became states of the United Nations. And we do the bidding of these lunatics from the United Nations. And the game is internationalization and destruction of the nation state. So if you look around and you say, what the hell's going on? It ain't hard to figure it out. We just need to put a stop to it because it ain't going to get better. I don't think we're that far off from banning straight people. I really don't think so. What started out many, many, many years ago is this small minority of people seems to have basically taken over the reins of government in that. I mean, This woman's from the NDP, and she's part of the socialist movement. Our premier is a lesbian. I was talking to Environment Canada today, which is environment and climate change. It used to be just, well, there was no environment, and then they come up with the Environment Ministry to huff in the UN Millennium Goals and that, and now it was changed. Now it's been changed to Environment and Climate Change. He's gay. Yeah, it's bad, man. It's bad, you know, and we really just need to wrap our brains around and get back to square one again, because you're not going to have a nation. You're going to get overrun. I saw a map. Maybe I said this on Tuesday. I don't remember. I saw a map of. It looked like a war room map, right, with the curved fat arrows and that, of you know, where the invasions are coming from and that, and how they're getting from one country to another, and that's what they're doing. They're flooding us, and you know, that was a billion 3 Muslims or something. That's a lot of Muslims, man, and you can take down a lot of area with that, but they're taking it down with no guns. That's the kicker. Being invaded, but your politicians are inviting them. Well, that's not right, is it? But that's what's going on. So, you know, I don't know the exact wording of Jefferson, but it was like, you know, time to make a change, folks. A real change, not a hope change, not even spare change. We just got to make a freaking change. And we got to do it ASAP. So that's that. And, you know, I ran into when I was going through some of this this MPP's history, I ran into a guy by the name of Tabens, who was also NDP, who was also head of Greenpeace Canada. And when I spoke at the 207 all-party committee meeting on renewable energy, I'll never forget this little shit, you know. I went through my spiel, and it was, you know, everybody else was there. Oh, well, I don't want the windmill so close to my home, because I don't have a clue what's going on, right? And, you know, I just came at them, and with the players that brought it here, and the UN documents. And when I was done, I asked them if they had any question on this all-party committee. And this Tabens guy, who was head of, and he's right up to his ass in this LBGQWYZ outfit. You know, he looked at me and he says, you don't believe in climate change, do you? And I'm not that stupid. No further questions. Okay, nobody's going to engage with me. Right? It's really sad. It's really, really sad about what's going on, and it's seemed to be going on for so long that it's not normal, but it's been going on so long that you wonder if how many. Well, you know, a kid goes to school at the age of 5 or 4 or whatever it is. And so, you know, 10 years pass, okay? And that kid didn't know nothing going in. And they just take their little heads and lift the lid and just fill it full of propaganda day after day after day. And the kid has no sense of history whatsoever. That's the other thing we got to do. We got to teach the young people some history. They have no clue. None whatsoever. And that's our fault. Now here we got, this is good old Canada again. Calgary Mayor Naheed Nenshi Lambe. Oh, I see. Oh, that's not. Anyways, the Calgary mayor, which is Naheed Nenshi, which is not a European name, by the way. Land-based, the Conservative government taking issue with women wearing the, I don't know how you pronounce that, niqab, the face cover, anyways, during citizenship ceremony, argue it's playing with fire and wasting taxpayer money. Now here's the mayor of Calgary. Now I worked in Calgary as a reporter when I was a young guy, and first of all, this guy, I can't believe this guy's even the mayor. That's how much Calgary's changed. Calgary is the home of the Calgary Stampede, which is cowboy land, it was quite the place when I lived there. But the idea of people walking around with headgear on or face coverings wouldn't have flew at all when I was a young man out there. But this guy now, with the name Naheed, says this is playing with fire and wasting taxpayers' money. No, this is rolling over and allowing people to bring their systems and undermine our systems, okay? And when I say systems and that, I mean, it's very difficult, to hardly even talk anymore because you got to keep qualifying everything you're saying. But the fact of the matter, this is our place that we live, and basically what's going to happen here if we don't put our foot down. And I wish the native people and the other peoples would join hands finally. I really do, because the natives have to understand it wasn't the settlers that came here that were the problem, and the people need to understand it wasn't the natives that was the problem. Okay, we both got hoodwinked, we both got short-shifted, and we need to join together and take our nation back. And because if we don't, the same thing that happened to the native people is about to happen to everybody. Okay? Where people blame Christianity for all this strife and killing of the native people and that. That's not true. Okay? Well, it isn't. Okay? But this was Christianity is not from your creator. Okay? It's a political movement just like Islam is. Okay? It's a religious movement, okay, and it's a political movement. And when that happens, atrocities happen. Okay, our Creator did not put us here on the earth to kill each other or to enslave each other. But we get suckered by this political and this religious system. We got to get over those things as well. But if we don't put the brakes on here, I saw an article today that the Chinese again have, they own most of Vancouver now, I think, anything that's worth owning. And they come in here with their pockets full, and now they've come in, they were buying up housing and that, now they're buying up the office towers, while our people struggle from week to week to try to keep a roof over their families' heads. And once they get a little more hold here, the Chinese workers are coming, and you ain't going to compete with them, right? You're not going to compete with them. And things are just going to get worse and worse and worse. So it's a war, for sure. It's an invasion, absolutely. And it's like Cicero, right? And he said a standing army is less dangerous or whatever, because you know what the hell you're looking at, right? There's a standing army on our border. Well, let's go knock them out of here. But when the enemy is within your walls and speaks like you and dresses like you and uses flattery and benefits and all that kind of stuff, most people don't see the enemy. And that's how we're being taken down from the inside. And that's got to stop. So we have this guy here, this mayor, who thinks that Islamic women should be, or Muslim women, whatever you want to call them, should be able to cover their faces during citizenship ceremonies. Now you go and try and get a license or an ID picture and cover your face and see how that's going to work out for you. It ain't. Okay, so now we have two sets of rules. One for you and one for them. That don't work. Doesn't work at all. So they're calling it a political wedge and all this kind of stuff. And I can't believe a mayor from Alberta would even bring any of this stuff forward. But then it's not really Alberta anymore, is it? You know, we have an Enron energy system in Alberta, just like we do in Ontario. And I don't know. We just have to do something about it, and do something about it quick. Now, I'm going to see if I can't just, we've got a few minutes here. I'm kind of interested. There's a story here that's kind of weird. I got 3 women were allegedly killed a week ago north of here, small towns, one at a time, probably over about 30, 40 miles. And apparently all knew the shooter. And what was weird about it is we never, the shooter gave up peacefully. And there's been really nothing since. The guy went to jail and he was taken to court, and then he's being held over till October sometime. Before I guess they're going to start this trial and stuff, or figure out what they're going to do with him. But the funny part is there's 3 women killed, and somebody brought this up, is that what's going on? This happened in Ontario, Canada, and the premier here hasn't said boo about it. I haven't heard a politician in this province say boo about it, which is just kind of strange. You know, you kind of got to ask some questions, because they could have got a lot of play out of this for women's rights and all that kind of stuff. So what exactly is going on in the background here? So, okay, this is the newest story I've seen here. And this really irritates the hell out of me when somebody goes in and shoots up a bunch of innocent people. Just like it really irritates me when an army or an air force goes into somebody else's country and just indiscriminately drops bombs all over the place. I don't know how many times I've heard of a story of a wedding party or something getting blown away in a foreign country, and they go, oh, well, we thought it was terrorists. Sorry. So, you know, we have this stuff going on here in our own backyards. Only it's not the Air Force and the Army's doing it. We're apparently doing it to ourselves. Now, I don't know if people just get so totally frustrated or they see no hope. I don't know what drives somebody to do some of the things they do. It sickens me. Okay, so now the report says 13 people have been reported dead, with 20 injured after a gunman stormed a community college. Now, earlier I saw a story go by where the gunman apparently went into. I mean, this guy was 20 years old. What the hell's that all about? I mean, 20 years old? How do you get that messed up at the age of 20? How do you do that? How is it possible? anyways, what I saw a story earlier that said that this guy went into a classroom, shot the teacher, and then turned around and asked what everybody's religion was. So I don't know what that was about. But this is, we're in a spiritual war. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Let's see here. U.S. President Barack Obama addressed media and once again called for calm? No. More education on the subject? No. When he addressed the media, did he say how sorry he was? Not that I see in here. He addressed the media and once again called for, drum roll please, thank you, gun control regulations to be implemented. Since the beginning of Obama's second term, this is a different story I'm reading, but it's the same guts of it. Since the beginning of Obama's second term, not a single calendar week has gone by without a mass shooting, the Washington Post reports. Wow. Why is that, you wonder? Wouldn't have anything to do with the need for gun control, would it be? It's just beyond my comprehension that these mass murders are happening again and again and again and again, Obama said at a press conference. Somehow this has become routine. We've become numb to this. It cannot be this easy for someone who wants to inflict harm on people to get his hands on a gun. Damn that gun. Our thoughts and prayers are not enough. Now, see, the gun part, is a real smoke and mirrors, false flag, deception, whatever. If you wish to kill someone, you don't need a gun. Okay? It's that freaking simple. You don't need a gun. And all the so-called security in the world, if you decide that you're going to kill someone, or someone, not people here for God's sakes, but if someone gets it in their mind they're going to kill someone randomly, you cannot, because it's impossible, get enough get enough security to stop it. Yeah. It's an impossibility. Not really. So this has got nothing to do about anybody's safety. It has everything about taking away your safety.
Or can I get you, what time is it?
Obama said he expects his critics to call for a solution of more guns being put into the hands of Americans. This is a gun for roughly every man, woman, and child in America. So how can you, with a straight face, say we need more guns? I don't know what he's on about there. Investigators are looking into possible social media postings they believe the gunman made last night, according to a CNN report, of which you got to trust. The gunman purportedly posted on 4channel, an online forum, the night before. Courtney Moore, 18, told local newspaper News Review today that the gunman entered her classroom and shot her teacher in the head. Moore said the gunman proceeded to demand that the students stand up and state their religions. The gunman, Moore said, fired on the class. Moore's account has not been confirmed. And apparently they had one security guard there and he wasn't armed, which is a little odd because I live in a little town of 7,000 people here, and our high school has a cop in it all day, every day, and he's armed. So I find that story a little bit strange too. But I'm absolutely sure that those who look deeper into this stuff will track it down. I mean, a lot of people spend a lot of time on Sandy Hook, and you know, I mean, these things just keep happening, right? And you know, the question is why and what's behind it, you know. And I often wonder if these people aren't either mind controlled or something. I mean, a 20-year-old kid walks into a college, shoots a teacher in the head, and turns around to the class and demands everybody tell them what their religion is. What the hell's that all about, right? So we'll just have to, you know, wait and see. And I'm sure there's all kinds of people on this now going through these news reports and trying to figure out what exactly happened here. If the news reports were screwed up as the ones that were here when the 3 women got shot in their separate homes here, there's so many holes in this story. There's so many wrong timelines. It's a mess. And are the police just that sloppy, or the news reporters that sloppy, or is there something else going on here? Because, you know, the little town north, see, most of the people up in rural Ontario, north of here, pretty much everyone, I would think, not everyone, but when you get up that far north, I would say a large percentage of people have at least 22 sitting in the house, some kind of a thing to scare off. Well, you're not going to scare a bear too far with 22, but you know, they have guns. And when this story went down here last week, it was why were there so many police, and why was there a police training exercise going on in Algonquin Park right next door to the town where the shooting took place? What's that all about? And the police, like, there was cops everywhere in the middle of, you know, the town, only 250 people in the middle of freaking nowhere. How did all these cops get there so fast? Oh, we were doing a training exercise. Oh, I see. And well, why so many cops? Well, you know, because everybody here's armed. Well, wait a minute. I thought you were looking for a shooter, right? And but you're what? Are you worried about the people, or are you worried about the fact that people have guns? So everything that's going on down here seems to be the common denominator seems to be we have to get those guns away from the people. And that should just run gun sales up everywhere, you know, you would think. So anyways, that's what I've been up to here in the last couple of days. And, you know, like I said, my heart goes out to everybody that was that lost a loved one, and all those injured. I hope they get well soon, and I hope they're looked after, and I hope that the researchers out there, and I'm not one of them, who research this sort of thing in great detail, you know, get to it and do a good job of it, and bring back the truth. Because it's all about the truth, isn't it? We got to get the truth. And you ain't going to get it from CNN or the Washington Post. That I can guarantee you. So there you go. Anyways, that's about all I got to say today, and that's all the time I have to say it in. So, you know, again, I want to thank everybody at UCY, and, you know, it was nice to see JJ and that, seeing him out for a while, and all the listeners, all those in the chat, and I hope the UCY listenership continues to grow, because we will win. Make no mistake about it. So, keep talking, keep teaching, keep shining the light. We win, baby. Simple as that. And we are out October 1. Have a great night, everybody.